Maritza Giorgio in Washington, and you're watching On the Scene on Scripps News. Moments ago, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt holding a press conference at the White House. Now, during that briefing, Leavitt addressed day 6 of the government shutdown, along with the president's potential peace deal with Hamas. Scripps News White House correspondent Jacob Gardenswartz is live now right outside of the White House with the latest from that briefing. So, Jacob, are we learning any more about this threat of mass layoffs because of the government shutdown?
Yeah, good afternoon, Maritza. Well, we are really not learning much more in terms of how these layoffs might actually take place, when they would take place, and who would be impacted. The White House continuing with the messaging that we've heard for the past couple of weeks now, blaming Democrats entirely for the shutdown, reiterating misleading claims about the reasoning for Democrats shutting down the government, suggesting it's to give undocumented immigrants a greater health care coverage. Again, as we've reported widely here and elsewhere, undocumented immigrants by multiple laws are not eligible for any sort of federal insurance, health insurance coverage. And so instead, the battle that the White House is choosing to engage on there is about reimbursing hospitals for emergency care that they must provide by law and providing some legal immigrants some types of health coverage. But as you noted, we are in day 6, and we have heard a lot of these threats from White House officials of these mass layoffs, suggesting that OMB Director Russ Vought, head of the Office of Management and Budget, is looking into specific agencies that could be impacted. But we have not seen them come to fruition. And while we had initially suggestions that it would happen as early as last Friday, OMB Director Vought telling Republican lawmakers that they would happen in 1 or 2 days on Wednesday, Friday came and went, Monday came and went, and we have not seen them take place yet. Of course, the White House continuing to try to use this as leverage to force Democrats back to the negotiating table, suggesting that they are looking towards the vote in the Senate tonight as another possible opportunity where lawmakers will vote to reopen the government. But at this point, that certainly seems unlikely. Let's play some of what the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt had to say about that shutdown threat.
Someone has to look at the balance sheet and be good stewards of the American taxpayer dollar. And layoffs are an unfortunate consequence of that.
First term, for example.
Well, as I'm telling you now, this administration is focusing on checking the balance sheet and ensuring we're doing the right thing by the American taxpayer. And again, these conversations about layoffs would not be happening in the White House today if not for the Democrat shutdown.
So lots of blame and finger pointing there, but worth pointing out, as the questioner of the press secretary there is nothing requiring the White House to institute layoffs. Of course, we know upwards of about 750,000 federal workers have been furloughed, and there may be a number of cuts to plans or sort of plans running out of funding in the coming days. One in particular that's of significant concern is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, commonly known as food stamps. The press secretary suggesting that that could run out, quote, very soon. So there is, plenty of damage caused by a shutdown without the need for these mass layoffs. Pressed why it is that the White House was pushing forward with this when no mass layoffs like this have been conducted because of shutdowns previously, the press secretary suggesting that it's because of the need for fiscal sanity, the need to, not amass more debt in the government coffers. But certainly a back and forth that you will continue seeing, and we will continue monitoring to see when and if those layoffs actually land. Maritza.
Yeah, Jacob, we also heard Transportation Secretary Duffy talk about it earlier today, too, and possible layoffs within air traffic controllers. I want to also talk about the other announcement out of the White House and what they're saying about these negotiations over a possible peace deal in Gaza. What do we know? Any progress there?
Yes, certainly officials the most optimistic that they have been in some time that a deal will be reached. You'll recall last Friday, Hamas giving its official response to the president's 20-point peace deal or peace plan for Israel and Gaza. Hamas officials suggesting that they were on board with at least some of those provisions, specifically the ones that involved releasing the remaining hostages held in Gaza and relinquishing their weapons in exchange for Israel releasing some of its prisoners and pulling out from parts of Gaza. So at this moment, we understand that officials on the Palestinian side, the Israeli side, as well as the American side are in Egypt for what has been described as technical negotiations over the actual actual specifics. You know, when and where will these hostage exchanges take place? Where will the lines that Israeli soldiers retreat to be specifically? Those are some of the issues that are under consideration. We did hear from the press secretary something interesting to me, which is that among the U.S. officials who are involved in these sorts of negotiations are Ambassador Steve Witkoff, one of the foremost officials in the government who has been leading the push to reach peace there for some time, but also Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, someone who does not currently have any role in the government, no formal role at least, and has a number of personal business deals in the Middle East. So there were certainly lots of criticisms raised when he participated in some of these meetings last week with regard to this peace deal. The fact that he is now there in Egypt with some of these other, nation delegations negotiating over this, likely to raise some eyebrows among, government watchdogs who question why it is that the president's son-in-law, a private individual, would be participating in this sorts of thing. Maritza.
Look forward to more reporting on that. Scripps News producer and reporter Jacob Gardenswartz live from the White House. Thank you so much, Jacob.